All right, quick disclaimer. The thoughts and views of Craig, aka Top Flight, are not necessarily those of the Lightning Round podcast. But in this instance, probably so. Just to let you guys know off top, fresh out the gym, still a little hype off of pre-workout, and I'm in my feelings a bit. Had some time to think and weigh some stuff out, and somebody got to get this work. So let's get it started. Number one, the waiting game. Oh wait, what am I talking about, man? They signed Jerry Tauchi, right? Yeah, that's right. Hopped in Doc Brown's DeLorean, went back to 2014, and are hoping that they snatched up the dude that they drafted. While you were back there, you should have just pulled Mike McCoy in too. Took him along for the ride. Maybe he can come in and assist Joe with play calling. Man, I'm at the point where I'm this close to being over it, because when you look at this move, it just reeks of, oh, okay, he's a dude who's familiar with the system, so let's bring him in. We've done that a bunch of times, right? If you play for the Broncos, play for the Bears, then 9 times out of 10, you're going to end up being a Charger at some point if you're not doing anything, hanging out at the house, and the team has a need. You're going to get a phone call. I have nothing against Jerry. I like Jerry coming out of Georgia Tech, but the dude is what, pushing 30, and there was a reason why he was not employed. I should have known better when they signed the Tauschka kid after Bosa got hurt. This is vintage Charger stuff, and the question now becomes is, how serious are you guys? Is this a depth thing? Are you going to make another move? You could potentially do so. I mean, you have some trade assets. You can move them around, get another guy in for a lower draft pick. But I ain't holding my breath on it. We'll see. Number 2, Thief's theme. Play me at night, they won't act right. This one's dedicated to Howie Roseman and Brett Veach, but mostly Howie, because Howie knows where all the skeletons are buried. I'm thoroughly convinced. The way he keeps fleecing teams for players, let's not engage in that too much, because this is about the Chargers, but it ties in. The problem is, these are GMs of teams who are leading their divisions. One is undefeated, and they aren't satisfied with their rosters. See, they're not waiting around for injuries to happen to then go like searching through the scrap heap to pick up players that probably won't contribute very much. They're going to get quality difference makers. Interestingly enough, they seem to have it figured out. But on the flip side of that, your Chargers, our Chargers, can't seem to understand that teams that are serious about going for the gusto make moves just like these. They use their trade assets, i.e. draft picks, as a tool to go ahead and pluck players from other teams. Maybe that 4th round pick turns into something, but if it doesn't, then at least you have this quality starter on your team for the next few years. Maybe on a lower dollar amount. You might just be able to let them walk after a couple years. Hell, you might be able to do business somewhere later down the line and recoup one of those picks. You might get a compensatory pick from something that you've already done or are looking to do in the offseason. See, this is all about planning moving forward. For some reason, the Chargers are always reactionary, and I can't figure out why the hell that is. It'd be really nice to have them be a player, much in the way that they were this offseason. I just thought that maybe it would spill over, but to this point, by the time you're seeing this, maybe they have done something, and I'm just out here spouting off for no reason at all. But it's like I said before, or I'm sorry, to quote a great Muppet Baby, I'll see it when I believe it. How's that? Moving along to number 3, shook ones. Scared to death, scared to look in your boss's face and ask him to move out of the way, stop meddling, and allow you to do your job. That's right, Tommy T, because ain't no such thing as halfway GMs. I know you won't do this though. You're not gonna approach John Spanos and say anything like this. There's a reason why you've been allowed to hang around for 10 years. It's not your stellar track record of success. 2 playoff appearances in a decade. I'd venture to say that my 9-year-old has had more success in his life up to this point. I could put some stats up here for you guys to look at. He's a pretty awesome kid, but it's arguable. At the end of the day, when this season's over If this team doesn't make the playoffs, it's probably your head that's going to be on the chopping block. More than likely won't be Brandon Staley's, because that's not how the Chargers operate. He's in his second year of that 4-year deal, and they'll probably grant him some grace because of all the injuries. But you, sir, you're probably the one. And if it were me, I'd go out in a blaze of glory. Hell, if they can you now, at least you can leave with your dignity. But if you're just getting your strings pulled year in and year out, it's resulting in nothing, and you're the one with egg on your face at the end of every season and people criticizing you, but you're basically doing your job with one hand handcuffed to Mr. Spanos' pocket. Is he making you hold the pocket like they do in the Bing in prison? And you just kind of got to make sure that you're attached to him at all times. I don't know. Look, man, no disrespect to you, bro. I'm just being for real. Have some stones about you, man. If you're going to go out in a blaze of glory, do it your way. Just my opinion. Transitioning over to number 4. No bye. Joe Lombardi is still here, folks, and I'm not going to tell you that I'm super surprised about that. In my mind, I could see them getting rid of Lombardi, elevating Shane Day. By the same token, this is kind of par for the course with the Chargers. And y'all know how I feel about Joe Lombardi. I don't put all the blame on his shoulders. There's only so much you can do from an offensive standpoint. But here's the thing. I was always raised to have a backup plan. And it seems like Lombardi doesn't even have a plan B. All the injuries affect what you can do on either side of the ball. Kind of have to do your best to mitigate some of those issues by condensing the playbook. But even then, there's a clear disconnect between the coaching staff and upper management. You still have to provide the man with the type of players to make the adjustments. And I'm not talking top of the market dudes. We keep going back to the GM here. You notice there's a theme. But if Joe Lombardi is to keep his job, in order to make the adjustments necessary that I believe he would like to make, there still have to be some additions made to this team prior to the trade deadline. We'll see where that goes. I don't have a whole lot of confidence in that because the Chargers don't do anything in the trade market historically. But Joe, here's looking at you, my man. You still got your gig. Good for you. If you want to maintain it, hopefully you're pounding the table for some things to be done, the course to be recharted. But if not, you and Tom are probably going to be kicking it together somewhere this offseason, unemployed. Hope you like each other's company. I'm going to top this crap Sunday off with the cherry. Number 5, winners do winner. This is more of a rant than anything. There's not a whole lot of direction here. Aren't y'all tired of this, man? Roll into every season with high expectations because you look at that roster and you see all the talent, particularly this year, and you sweep all the underlying stuff under the rug, right? The lack of depth in key areas, and you just give it a pass because you only see the best case scenario, which never works out, right? Then the depth in the areas that, the lack of depth in those areas come through, and you see guys playing that haven't either been developed all that well or just cats who shouldn't be getting that much run. And you find yourself lingering around that 500 mark again, another offseason of asking a bunch of questions and having no idea what your team's identity is. We all know what the tie that binds here is. Family ties, as a matter of fact. You can always root this stuff back to the Spani. And I know it sounds like the easy route or just low-hanging fruit to point the finger at the family, but they're the common denominator. You've seen coaches come and go, coaching staffs, players. The only thing that remains the same is ownership. If Dean would just, be real about himself get past the fact that old Johnny boy just ain't it, and allow an actual football person to come in and run things, the team would be much better for it. But see, nepotism is a hell of a thing. Sometimes you just gotta be honest with your kids, man. If they suck at something, I'm not saying go tell them, hey, you're trash, let's try something else. Nah, you want to build them up, right? But when your kid's 40 some odd years old and he's still pretending to be really good at something he's not, and the only reason that he has the position he has is because you gave it to him, you have done them a disservice, sir. That guy gets to walk around that building with all the false bravado, knowing good and well his head is probably never going to be on the chopping block. And this is what you can expect from here on out. I know y'all are clamoring for Sean Payton in the event that Brandon Staley does get fired, but think about what that entails. Draft picks and relinquishing power. What do the Chargers love holding on to the most? Draft picks. And John ain't going out without a fight. Hell, there might be a mutiny if Dean even made the suggestion to John about stepping down from that role. But I digress. That's it for me. That was my therapy session for myself. Hopefully you guys got some of your feelings out. Maybe I touched the nerve there. Some of you guys are pissed, don't agree, and that's cool. It's really not my concern. Just wanted to let y'all know how I felt. If you agree, awesome. If you don't, it is what it is. But bye week, doesn't matter. Still here, and I'll be back next week with another 5 of them things, regardless as to what happens. Hot and spicy. Maybe not as spicy as this week. Maybe they will be, especially if no changes are made. But either way, I'll be here, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. It's been your boy. I'm gone.